Ask the Messengers TV show is a TV show that educates, informs, and entertains our viewers on public health issues such as mental illness, suicide, addiction, illness and disease, COVID-19 relief, crime, domestic violence, homelessness, human trafficking, employment opportunities, healthcare, and more. And now, Ask the Messengers.
Today on Ask the Messengers, our author series with Kimberly Mallory with her guest, Dr. Sabrina Jackson. Dr. Sabrina is here to talk about her book, My Essential Vision Atlas, your personal visioning roadmap to manifesting your dreams. Plus, Dr. Lawrence McDonald talks about his medical practice and shares information related to lung cancer. And Cheryl Swanson shares her addiction to recovery story. Ask the Messengers begins now.
I have such an amazing, phenomenal woman with me today, Dr. Sabrina Jackson. She has what it's called is called the Essential Vision Atlas. And, she talks about how, she doesn't like these vision boards, and she has an atlas, and it's basically a book of maps for your vision. She's getting ready to tell everybody about what it's like, some of the things that's in it. So I want to say to you, Dr. Sabrina Jackson, welcome to Ask the Messengers TV show.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Let me say that. I'm so excited. And I'm excited anytime I get to talk about what it is that God has birthed through me. And so I love the Essential Vision Atlas because I never liked doing vision boards. And this is why. Because to me, when I finished the vision board, what if I wake up tomorrow and God gives me another vision? I got to go do a whole nother board.
Right.
So I've always liked putting mine in a book because book has pages. And so each page I was able to look at the 12 major areas of life, because there's 12 major areas of life. So in the book, I allow you to have at least 2 pages per area. Okay. So at the top of the page is a focus, and you can write in what your focus is. And then that page becomes all about that focus and not just a board that has all the different focuses on it. I like laser-like focus. I do. And so when I started doing the 12 areas, if people see me on TV, they know I like acronyms. I like things that you can remember things by. So for some reason, God gave me the letter W. So every area starts with a W. And so the first area is wellness. Wellness has to do with your health and your fitness and things of that nature. Then there is wisdom. Wisdom has to do with education and continuing learning, because if you are a person that's living, you need to still be learning. You ain't ever finished learning. And so you should have a wisdom section. What things do I need to work on? What do I need to get better at? And then work. Work has to do with whether it's your career, your vocation, or your business. What are you doing to put out in the world? Then wealth. And you know what wealth is? Your finances. Get your money right, girl. Then weld, W-E-L-D. Weld has to do with your love relationships, because once you become one, you're welded together. You no longer belong just to you. You belong to someone else, and you're welded together because God begins to see you as one and not as separate. And then worthiness is the next W. And worthiness has to do with your character, your integrity, and your values. Ooh, have you ever had someone talk to you and had you focus on what is my character going to show up as? How is my integrity, and what's my values? You need to have a focus on how do you bring that level up. Even if you are an integral person, there still may be some things about your character and your values that need to be elevated. And then there are whereabouts. Whereabouts has to do with your home life and your family, the people that you are naturally related to, and how you handle the relationships of those people in your life. Because when your whereabouts is like your North Star, that's where you land. That's your safe space. So what should that look like, feel like for you? And then this next one, they'll be like, what is that? Wanted. Wanted is WONTED. And what that means are your daily habits and routines. What are you doing every day? Do you do self-care? Do you have where you do affirmations every day? What are your daily routines and habits? Because what you do daily, what you pour into, becomes your reality. And then your why is next. And your why is, what's your purpose and contribution to the world? What are you supposed to be doing to contribute to making the world a better place? And then two more, worship. That's your spiritual development. What you're doing spiritually. And people say this all the time. They say stuff like, I'm spiritual, but not religious. And when people say that, I say they don't even realize what they're saying, because every person is spiritual, because what makes you alive is your spirit. When you die is when your spirit leaves. So every person on the planet is a spiritual being, whether they recognize it or not. Okay. So your spiritual development is key. And then last is wired. And wired has to do with your social connections, your recreation, and your fun. What are you doing to have a best life? Are you living your best life? Are you living your dreams? Are you doing things that make you laugh? Because laughter is medicine for your soul. Are you having fun with what you're doing? And you need to have a plan for that. And so those are the 12 major areas of life. I give you space in the book to do it. Create maps to your vision.
So with that being said, that is so amazing. I know I want to get one, because what do you think, Dr. Sabrina, what do you think a person should, or how often should a person be writing in that book, in that atlas, as you call it?
Let me say this. What I like about the atlas is that the atlas becomes something that is almost like a journal. It's something you can go back to. So you might do one page in work, and then later, 6 months in, you may say, oh, I need to change that. So you have a whole nother page you can do with work. And then the other thing that I did not mention is that the last instruction is, when something on that page manifests, go back to that page with a red pen and write the date that it manifested.
Wow.
And then at the end of the year, just flip through the book and look at all the red. It'll overwhelm you.
Wow. Now that is so awesome. I was thinking about, like, because that's such a great idea. I was thinking, like, by the end of the year, maybe halfway through the year, when you start reading some of the things you wrote, and then here it is 6 months later, and you're like, oh, did I write that? Did I honestly? And then now you have a whole different vision. That's why you said you don't like the vision boards, because this atlas is just a roadmap to your life, and things change. Your thinking change. You know, the way that you act changes. It's so many things that's going to change in that atlas, and you can take a look back at it.
You could take a look back at it, and you could say, okay, I want to shift this. So like one of the things that's a major area for me is weld. I want to be married. Okay. And so as I really start to think about what things that I need to do and what things that I first put on that page, now I think differently, because one of the things that I've learned is there are alpha men, who's an alpha male, and there's masculine men. Masculine men are different from alpha men. Alpha men are always hunters. They're trying to get you, grab you, come get you, but they don't stay. But a masculine male is the one who's going to stay. They're going to be there for you. They're going to take care of your heart. And so they don't mind stepping back and letting the alpha man do what the alpha man does. But as a masculine man, so now I've changed my focus.
Okay.
I don't need a man just to conquer me or come get me. I need a man that's going to protect me. So I always say I need a man who will pray with me, P-R-A-Y, and not pray on me, P-R-E-Y.
All right. You better teach us. You better teach us.
When you learn it, you teach it.
To get your copy of My Essential Vision Atlas, go to www.sabrinajackson.com.
So everyone, please help me welcome Dr. McDonald to Ask the Messengers television show. Tell everyone what type of doctor you are.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm a pulmonary critical care and sleep physician. So I take care of people with lung disease, sleep problems, and people who are really, really sick. And more important, I'm the chairman of the Detroit Cancer Screening Initiative. I'm a lung doctor, so we became interested in lung cancers, particularly in the city of Detroit, where we think if we work together with people like Ask the Messengers and other organizations, there's one called Healthcare Business Women Association, HBA, that helps us. They come out and they work with us to go out into the community, to physicians and patients. We want to decrease lung cancer. That's what we want to do.
Well, let me ask you this, Dr. McDonald. Tell the audience, because some people really may not even know this. So tell the audience, what exactly is lung cancer?
That's a good question, Kim, because it's the most common cause of cancer death. So even if you go to a party and somebody says, "Hey, what's the most common cause of cancer death in women?" It's lung cancer. It's the most common in men and women. And cancer is essentially, where cells start to grow. All of our cells grow, but they turn off when they're supposed to turn off. And for some reason, some cells just continue to grow and they clump together and they form little things that take up space and interfere with the body, and they keep getting bigger and bigger and they spread. That's essentially what cancer is. Lung cancer is when that starts in the lungs, and it might stay in the lungs or it might go somewhere else, but it is a problem, and we think that we can work on it. We can work together and help.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let me ask you this. Some people need to know out here about the screening. Let's just talk a little bit about the screening. So what are some of the examples of screening for a test for cancer, lung cancer?
Sure. Yeah. So screening is where, you feel fine, you look fine, but there might be something wrong with you that you can't feel and other people can't necessarily see unless they do a test. So there are several tests that we can do. You can go to your primary care physician and they can order screening tests. Screening test is something that you look for stuff before you know you have it, so you can find it early and for which there's some sort of treatment that actually works. So, for example, breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, cervical cancer,
yes,
and now lung cancer. We think lung cancer is a big deal because we have a test that will screen for it in people who are at risk and who don't know they have it. Yeah. So that test is a CAT scan. A CAT scan is really no big deal.
My mother, she passed away from lung cancer. She never smoked a cigarette in her life. A lot of people think the only way that you could get lung cancer is if you're a smoker. So can you kind of explain that? Why? And I thought the same thing, like my mom never smoked. How does she get lung cancer? They said secondhand smoke. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, anybody can get lung cancer, but there are several other causes, but don't get hung up on those. Don't get hung up on, for example, radon or asbestos or
right,
things like other chemicals in the environment, diesel fumes. All those things can, but really the people who ought to be most worried are people who do smoke. Yeah, avoid smoke, avoid being around people who smoke, have them smoke somewhere else. And if you have one of those other exposures, it would be worth talking to your primary care physician about. But for the most part, though, Kim, we're talking about lung cancer. It's smoking. It's smokers. Those are the people who are overwhelmingly the more smokers, at-risk people. Yeah.
Right. So, Dr. McDonald, let me ask you this. So you said that the screening, the tests, CAT scans, where do people go to get this done?
Yeah, important question. You should go to your doctor. Your primary care doctor is really the best resource for figuring out what tests you need. Like, I don't need a mammogram. Can I get breast cancer? I'm a man. Sure, but it's probably not going to happen. So I'm not going to get a mammogram. Could I get breast cancer? Yeah. You screen people who are at risk. The people who are at risk for lung cancer are smokers. So if you smoke more than a pack a day for 20 years or half a pack a day for 41 pack years, and you either are smoking now or you quit within the past 15 years and you're more than 50, you qualify for a CAT scan to look for lung cancer, which sounds like it's a big deal. CAT scan sounds scary. That's what they do in the movies. It's really not a big deal. If you go for a mammogram, and you should, if you're supposed to get a mammogram, get one, but it causes some discomfort. If you have to have a colonoscopy, I've had 3 of them. I'm going for my 4th one. I do it. You should do those things. You should go to your doctor, get your mammogram, get your colon cancer, get your prostate cancer test, get your pap smear if you're a woman. But for lung cancer, it's really easy. All you do is show up. Sometimes they'll even let you leave your regular clothes on. You just lay on a table, hold your breath. Takes less than a minute, and you're gone. And then you go back to your doctor and get the result. You don't have to have an IV. You don't have to take any prep. You don't have to drink anything. You don't have to have any dye. There's nothing. Just lay there, boom, done. It's an easy test and a very, very safe test to do. So if you're at risk, you should do it. And our website has that. You can everything you need to know about how to do this is on our website.
So the lung cancer affects probably certain populations more so than other. How is it different for affecting different populations? Let's say screening the populations of African Americans. Let's talk about that. Tell me a little bit about that one.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked, because that's the whole reason. You and I talked about this already.
Yes.
I'm so excited about it, because that's the reason we started the Detroit Cancer Screening Initiative. That's why we exist, because we worked in Oakland County. We really did some great work with Tammy Pouget and people like that out in the Detroit Medical Center. They did a great job out of Huron Valley, out in Oakland County. And we found that by going to doctors' offices and talking to people and giving lectures and telling people about lung cancer screening, we were able to increase the number of screens every single year by about 50%.
Wow.
Just by talking to people. And when we did that, we found the same thing that other people around the country find, that when you do that, you find the lung cancers at an earlier stage. Most cancers are not curable. Most lung cancers right now are not curable when we find them. But we know that if we do this, we're more likely to find the ones that are curable. So we know there's a test. If you do it, you're more likely to find it early. You're more likely to literally be cured instead of dying of lung cancer. And it turns out this is an amazing statistic. In the general population of the United States, about 16, 18% improvement in mortality. That's a big deal. But in the Black population, it's been estimated at least 25% decrease in mortality. So Black populations actually do better. They benefit more from this test. So we just knew we had to do it. We've got some very good people. We've got a whole bunch of people working with us: John Barnwell, Mandeep Batwal, Tammy Pouget, Tony Randez, other people who come in, Lindsay O'Neill, other doctors, physicians, nurses, people from industry, people from companies like Genentech are working with us. And they're coming, they're just trying to make it work. We're doing it for fun, and it's working. We're having conversations with people. We're doing this kind of stuff. We're going out and giving talks, and we think we're going to make a difference. We honestly believe that we're going to decrease death in the city of Detroit.
To learn more about the Detroit Cancer Screening Initiative, go to www.detroitcancerscreen.com.
Tell the audience, what drug was it that you were using?
It was crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine. How long did you use the crack?
I was on crack cocaine for 20 years.
20 years. Now, how did you get hooked on cocaine?
I got hooked on cocaine because I was in love with the wrong thing. I was in love with a person instead of being in love with Jesus Christ.
Amen. Amen. And so what you're saying is that the person that you were in love with must have been doing drugs. And then
the person that I was in love with, the person that I was in love with was selling drugs as well, so is doing drugs. But the person also what broke my heart. Okay. It's a thing that that when you love and love hard and unconditional, we just say unconditional. And that's where I was at until I found out that this person here was doing drugs. This person here was also talking about having other women in my bed while I was working. And I didn't understand all that.
So Cheryl, so now that you had used for 20 years, tell the audience what you did to stop using and how long you've been clean.
I kept praying. I kept right on praying. I kept holding on to the little faith that I had, knowing that and I also ran into a lot of evangelism, prophets, and pastors that I would ask prayer for. But I had a couple of prophets to meet me and said, "Girl, why are you here?" And I kept saying, "I don't know." But one told me, "So you know why you're here," saying, "As soon as you get clean, you're going to look me up." I haven't been able to remember the lady's name, but I have been looking for her face.
So I just really commend you. Are you doing anything today out here in the community? Now that you have 8 years clean, what are you doing today?
I'm with the organization called CHC, homeless project for homeless, which consists of helping, being an advocate for the homeless people, letting them know what is needed done for the homeless the most, and trying to help build that foundation of doing homeless for the most. I also within my little project area of where I live, I communicate with all the people. They want me. I have been a spokesperson for them, and I continue to be a spokesperson for them. I help as many as I can. Now, what I'm doing, I went back to school to get my GED.
Yes.
I'm working on that right now, and I also take care of one grandchild and one great grandchild.
We do stay clean. We do recover. You know, we never have to look back again. We never have to use drugs again. Once you get clean, all you need is a mustard seed of hope, and God will do the rest for you.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Ask the Messengers. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you would like to help support our show, please feel free to make a donation of any kind by visiting our show website, www.askthemessengers.org. If you prefer to mail donations, please make check or money order payable to Ask the Messengers TV show and send it to 18400 Schaefer Highway, Detroit, Michigan 48235. Ask the Messengers is the program that deals with things that help you. Thank you for watching.